It's Pete from Cheap Homesteading. I'm in the garage this evening and we're working on a DLT 3000. It's a Craftsman lawnmower. A friend of mine brought it over and he said last year it started to get harder and harder to start, and then this spring it just wouldn't start at all. So what we're going to do is go over a lot of the reasons why your lawn and garden tractor won't start. Okay, so it's a Craftsman DLT 3000. I know these things are sold in many different colors. So they made these lawn tractors for a lot of different companies. Not just Craftsman. Whoa, that hood's bad. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna take this off. Okay. Wow. I'm gonna have to fix that a little bit. That's just annoying. It has a Briggs & Stratton intact twin 22 horse overhead valve. I'm gonna make sure there's oil on the dipstick. There is. He said that it won't start, so we'll make sure there's fuel in it, which it doesn't look like there's any. And then we're gonna see if it'll fire up. So let's see if it'll even roll over. PTO's engaged or something. Wow. The battery's dead, so we're gonna have to give this thing a boost. Okay, choke. Oh boy. Okay, let's try another battery. Okay, let's try it again. Well, that doesn't start very good. So there you go, she fires up. We're gonna do a little bit of a tune-up on it and it should be good to go. So the first thing we're gonna do is remove the battery and put it on charge. So at least it's charging when we're doing the tune-up. So you always loosen off the ground cable first, the negative post. Because if you accidentally touch anything, it's not going to short out because your negative post is connected to your ground, which is your frame and everything. So it's not going to short out, but if you take the positive one off first and it touches, you possibly could short out and burn yourself or hurt yourself. So make sure you take the negative post off first. Okay, so now we just got to get this rubber strap off and lift it out. I really need to get myself a real charger, but I have a little hand Kubota charger, and it works pretty good. So we're gonna plug this in. It shows that it's charging, so it should be good. See how that goes. We'll leave it there and we'll do the tune-up. One thing you gotta really look for is mice, and you can see evidence that something's been building a nest in here. So we're gonna pop off the air filter and see what's in here. There's something going on under there. We'll have to remove the cover. There's a bolt here, here, and here, and the same place on the other side too. Gotta get a wrench for that. And you don't have to remove them all the way, just to give you enough clearance so the cover can slip by. Now we got to remove this cover and his 5/16 socket. Removes them. Okay, so there you go. Oh yeah, look at that. I'll show you. Mouse did a great job of building a little bit of a nest there, so we're going to clean that out. So that is the perfect reason why you take that cover off and blow it out at least once a year, just to make sure that nothing built a nest inside there. I wonder if there's anything in there still. I doubt it. Don't breathe it in anyways. Okay, so I'm gonna start up the compressor, we're gonna blow this out, but whatever you do, don't stand around and breathe in the dust. Mouse droppings have all kinds of nasty stuff in it, and you don't wanna be breathing that in. So we're gonna blow it out, I'm gonna open the doors in the shop, and we'll let everything settle for a bit, and then I'll get back to work. We're gonna chill out here for a little bit and let everything settle. Another reason why one of these engines won't start very good or not at all, there is a magnet on here, and the rustier the magnet gets, it's harder and harder for it to send the magnetism by these coils, and these coils set off your spark plugs. So if they're too rusty, you won't have any spark either. So while we're in here, we're going to sand the magnet down to bare metal. So there you go. I like cleaning the coil side, and you can take the coil off, but I find this does a good job. Then move it to the other one. So now you sand the other coil, and then you're good to go. We can reinstall the cover. So we're going to change the foam filter and the actual air filter. Throw the cover on. We're going to check to see if the battery's charged up. Still charging. So while we're still waiting, we're going to clean up the battery terminals. Get that all ready, change the spark plugs, fuel filter, and then we're going to see how it runs. It doesn't matter how good of a job you do on your service if you don't clean your battery terminals. Even if you put a new battery in, it may not start. So make sure you clean the battery terminals down to the copper or the metal as it may be. Make sure it's really clean so it makes a good contact. Now we're going to change out the spark plugs. I can pretty much guarantee that they probably haven't been changed on this unit yet. So I'm going to show you when I get them out what they look like. They weren't very tight anyways. Spark plug really doesn't look too bad, but it's probably due for a change. I'd hate it to go back to them and then it doesn't start. So there you go, we'll throw in the new one, and make sure you start it with your hand before you actually use the socket. Because this goes into aluminum, and you're into a world of hurt if you strip the head. So if you have any doubt in your ability to know how tight you can put the spark plug before it strips out in the head, you really need to get a torque specification and a torque wrench so you can torque them. I've put enough of those in that I kind of know how hard I can tighten it before you strip the head. So if you have any doubt, you really need to get a torque wrench. Okay, so underneath here is your fuel filter, all this grease, and I don't see much junk in it. It may look clean, but sometimes there's a layer of film that's inside the filter and you just can't see it. It's probably due to change it anyways. So I'm going to take that off. You always have to remember that the direction of fuel flow is marked on the filter. So the fuel flows this way. Put the hose right there. There you go. Make sure you actually strap down the battery. It's not that much tension on that anymore though. Put the cover on. Okay, so I'm going to take it out. I'm going to run it for a little bit, get it nice and hot, see how well it runs, and then we'll change the engine oil, stuff like that. You could save a lot of money by just doing a lot of that stuff yourself. If you have to pay every time to get the oil changed in your lawn tractor and stuff, it just adds up very, very quickly. So the original filter was longer than this one, but this is the actual filter that is meant to go on this motor if you look it up in the parts manual. It's just a little stubby guy. Make sure you wipe all the dirt off the sealing surface of the filter. Make sure you're careful when you start the threads. So this little valve here, you pull the cap off and you push in and turn to the left, and then the oil will come out. Okay, so we'll let that drain for just a little while. So when it stops dripping, you push in and turn it to the right, and it'll lock. You put the cap on it. The oil that goes in this is straight 30 oil. Okay, so I need just a bit more. So there you go, right to the upper dot. The service to the tractor's all done, but I still have to take the mower out, sharpen the blades and stuff like that. But that'll be enough for tonight. So you guys have a good one.